If your CCNA study plan consists of watching 80 hours of video courses on a second monitor while you scroll through social media, you are setting yourself up for failure. You might as well take your $300 exam fee and throw it straight in the trash. Passive video watching creates a false sense of progress. It feels good because you know you got through like 5 lesson modules, but what did you actually retain? The moment you open up a blank lab topology or sit down for a practice test, your mind just goes completely blank. I know because I've been there. I'll be completely honest with you. Early in my career, I used to sit down after work, put a course on my computer, and it never failed. 5 minutes later, I start scrolling through my phone, the whole time telling myself I was studying. And to make matters worse right now, I see so many people stalling their preparations because Cisco announced an exam update for February 2027. They tell themselves that they should wait for the new version so they don't waste their time on old material. That logic is a trap that keeps you stuck. Here's the reality. If you're watching this prior to February 2027, stop waiting. Take the exam right now. Hiring managers don't care whether you have version 1.1 or version 2.0 of the exam. All they care about is that you actually hold the CCNA. And if you're watching this after February 2027, stay right here because Cisco updates the exam numbers, but the core networking doesn't change overnight. Subnetting, routing, switching, troubleshooting still make up the foundation of the exam. And in this video, I'm sharing the exact study stack I wish someone would have handed me back when I started, so you can build real skills and pass the exam on the first attempt. Now, hear me out. Video courses aren't the enemy here. Everyone learns differently, and for a lot of people, like me, watching an instructor walk through a concept is the best way to get that initial spark of understanding. There's nothing wrong with using video courses as your starting point. The problem is when you stop at watching. When you sit through a 20-minute video on OSPF or VLANs and walk away assuming you know it, you are guessing. Recognizing a concept while someone else demonstrates it isn't the same as pulling command syntax out of your head under the exam pressure. You cannot just consume information. You have to verify it. Treat video courses as your high-level tour, not the final proof of your mastery. The goal of a video is to introduce the vocabulary, show you where the commands live, and give you the big picture. Your actual learning happens at the very next step, when you test whether or not the information stuck. Here's the 3 rules I recommend to everyone to keep video learning effective without falling into the passive trap. First, watch it at 1.25 or 1.5x. Use the video for broad exposure rather than treating it like a movie that you just sit back and watch. Second, stop writing down every sentence the instructor says, copying full terminal outputs. Write down the core logic in one sentence and keep moving on. Third is verify immediately. The second the video ends, close the tab and prove you understand it. Open up Packet Tracer, configure the protocol yourself, or run through flashcards on that specific topic. If you cannot execute it on your own, you didn't learn it yet. Once you stop passively watching videos, you need to learn the tools that force your brain to recall information. That's where spaced repetition comes in. When I started out, I tried to remember port numbers, subnet masks, CLI commands by writing them out in a notebook over and over again. It was slow and painful. Today, you should be using tools like Anki. Anki is a free flashcard app that is built on an algorithm that shows you the card right before your brain forgets it. You can download pre-made CCNA decks for free and spend 10 to 15 minutes every day reviewing flashcards while you wait in line or take a break at work. It turns dry memorization into daily habits, so those details stay locked in for exam day. The second tool you should keep in your stack is AI like ChatGPT or Claude, but the trick is you have to use it correctly. Do not use AI to generate complete lab configurations or do the thinking for you. Use it as a free personal tutor to test your knowledge and logic. For example, when you get a practice question wrong, copy that into the prompt. Ask AI, explain why choice B is incorrect and why choice C is the right answer based on whatever you're studying at that time. Another thing you can do with AI is have it quiz you on specific questions. An example of a prompt would be, quiz me on subnetting/28 networks, one question at a time, but do not give me the answer until I respond. That turns a static chatbot into an interactive study partner that pinpoints your exact weak spots. Active recall tools keeps your daily retention sharp, but having the best study tools in the world will not help you if you keep dragging out your timeline without a firm deadline. If you're working towards the CCNA right now, Cisco updating the exam in February means the biggest mistake that you can make is just sitting on the sidelines waiting to see what changes. If you want a clear structure to get exam ready before that refresh hits, today's sponsor, Boson, is launching their live 8 weeks to CCNA workshop starting August 17th. This isn't just a pile of pre-recorded lectures. You get 8 weeks of live interactive instructions with CCIE Brian Bays, who's been teaching networking for over 25 years. What sets this program apart is that you get Boson's full suite of study tools built directly into the course. You get NetSim for hands-on CLI practice, where you build topologies and troubleshoot real routers and switch configurations without spending money on physical lab gear. You also get XSIM Max, which gives you practice exams that mirror the actual test experience better than anything else on the market. Most people in the community will tell you that XSIM Max is actually tougher than the real Cisco exam. So if you can pass XSIM Max, you know you are ready. On top of all of that, this workshop includes full access to David Bomble's CCNA Fundamentals course, a private Discord server, live instructor office hours, and a full year of class recordings in case you missed a session. The next live cohort starts August 17th. But if you're watching this after that date, check out the link down in the description anyways, because Boson runs new cohorts and updates their study resources all the time. So hit the link down in the description or the pinned comment to go check it out and grab your spot. Once your timeline is set, hands-on labbing is where you build real skills, but it's also where most students burn weeks of effort without making real progress. First, let's clear up the tool selection. Cisco Packet Tracer is free, lightweight, and handles most of the exam blueprint. If you want full Cisco iOS emulation with complete command response though, Cisco Modeling Labs, CML, or EVE-NG are great, but they do require heavier hardware and manual image setup. If you want pre-built guided labs without setting up virtual machines, Boson's NetSim gives you guided lab topologies right out of the box. But my biggest advice is to just pick one of the tools and stick with it, so setup friction doesn't stall your momentum. The biggest mistake I see students make is spending 3 weeks building a massive 40-node master topology from scratch. They draw out dual ISP, complex core switches, and branch offices before they even understand the basic command outputs. You end up spending 80% of your time placing icons and connecting virtual cables instead of actually learning protocol behaviors. Instead, what I recommend is building these micro labs. If you're studying OSPF, place 2 routers on a single subnet and configure OSPF between them. Verify the neighbor relationship, look at the routing tables, and then close the lab. Keep your focus on one concept at a time. Even better, focus on broken labs. When you configure a lab from scratch, you already know what commands you typed. On the actual exam, Cisco gives you scenarios where something is already broken and you have to diagnose why and what's wrong. If you're using NetSim or pre-made packet tracer files, load up scenarios where misconfigurations are already baked in. Break your own configurations too. Misconfigure a subnet mask, change an MTU setting, or mismatch an OFPS area number. Then try to fix it using show commands. You will learn far more fixing broken neighbor relationships in 10 minutes than you will spending 3 hours drawing out a giant network diagram. When you hit the final month of your preparations, you will feel a massive temptation. You will tell yourself, I need one more week or one more video series before you actually schedule the exam. I spent years falling into that exact trap. The truth is, you'll never feel 100% ready to sit down for a Cisco exam. What I recommend to everyone is pick a date 2 to 3 weeks out. Pay the fee, set the deadline in stone. A real date on the calendar transforms your study time from an optional habit to an absolute priority. During those final 2 weeks, your main tool should be practice exams like Boson's XSIM Max, but you have to use them as a diagnostic tool, not a memorization exercise. When you complete a practice exam, don't immediately hit retake to see if you can get a higher score. If you retake the exact exam 5 minutes later, you're not testing your networking knowledge. You're just testing your short-term memory. Instead, what I recommend is look at the domain score breakdown. If the report shows that you scored low on like IP connectivity or automation, stop taking practice tests. Go back to your micro labs, read the explanation for every option missed, and address that specific weak spot before you attempt your next practice test. Having the right study stack is only half the battle though. You also need to know what Cisco actually expects from you from the exam blueprints, especially around automation and networking assurance and how they test these concepts today. I actually sat down with Ryan from Cisco to break down the brand new CCNA exam line by line, including the biggest trap topics that candidates fail on. So click right here on the screen to watch that full breakdown with Ryan, and I'll see you over there.